Microsoft's AI CEO Mustafa Sulleyman shares what they've been working on behind the scenes.
We have prototypes that we've been working on that have near infinite memory. And so it just doesn't forget.
He later claims that we'll be seeing this by 2025 in AI models, which will completely transform the way we use them and open up a whole new world of possibilities. Next, Mistral has entered the chat. They dropped an open source 124 billion parameter model called Pixtral Large that achieves state-of-the-art performance on several benchmarks, as well as a ton of new capabilities like web search, canvas, image generation powered by Flux, and even vision. The best part about all this, it's completely free. Lastly, a new study published by the New York Times found that AI chatbots now outperform doctors at diagnosing illnesses. In this video, we'll dive deeper into their findings, which will seriously surprise you. So jumping right into it, I'm going to play you guys this clip of Mustafa Sulleyman discussing the advancements they've been making in memory. He explains why this is the missing piece of the puzzle in these AI systems and how it will completely transform the way we use them. Truly fascinating, take a look.
Memory is the critical piece because today, every time you go to your AI, you have a new session and it has a little bit of memory for what you talked about last time or maybe the time before. But because it doesn't remember the session 5 times ago or 10 times ago, it's quite a frustrating experience to people because you don't go and invest deeply and really share a lot and really look to build on what you've talked about previously because it's going to forget. So you sort of tap out after a while and it turns, into a shallower experience. But we have prototypes that we've been working on that have near infinite memory. And so it just doesn't forget, which is truly transformative. I mean, you talk about inflection points. Memory is clearly an inflection point because it means that it's worth you investing the time. Because everything that you say to it, you're going to get back in a useful way in the future. You will be supported, you will be advised, it will take care of, in time, planning your day and organizing how you sort of live your life. So it's that capability alone, which I expect to come online in 2025, is going to be truly transformative.
So what do you guys think about this? Personally, I agree that the way we interact with current AI systems is very shallow and even short-sighted. But if these AI models were to have near infinite memory and they could remember conversations and actually know things about you, then I can see how this can turn something like ChatGPT from just another tool into a true companion. AI companies are already working on this. Google recently rolled out the ability for users to ask Gemini Advanced to remember things like interests, dates, and important information. Of course, current AI models already have memory to a certain extent. Like if you ask ChatGPT right now, tell me something about myself that I don't know, you may be surprised at the response you get, especially if you're someone who uses it a lot. But again, if we can have AI systems that truly remember everything, which according to Microsoft's AI CEO could come as soon as 2025, then the way we interact with these models is going to fundamentally change. Especially considering how advanced AI voice technology has become and the steadily increasing rates of loneliness in developed countries over the past few decades, I could definitely see people looking to AI as a companion or even a partner in extreme cases. We haven't even talked about how this will affect the labor market. I mean, an AI system with near infinite memory would simply be way more efficient and useful. OpenAI recently announced that ChatGPT will now have access to certain third-party apps like Xcode and Terminal for Mac users. They're clearly laying the foundation here for AI agents, which they hope will eventually be able to perform tasks for us on our computers. You can imagine that infinite memory would make these AI agents a lot more reliable and easier to train, which is both exciting but also worrying. AI is already transforming the labor market in a major way and causing a lot of concern. There was this article from a few weeks ago that discusses just that. This is a direct quote from James O'Brien, a professor of computer science at UC Berkeley. He states, "Tech degrees no longer guarantee a job. Lately, I'm hearing similar narratives from students. Previously, a Berkeley CS graduate, even if not a top student, would receive multiple appealing job offers in terms of work type, location, salary, and employer." He noticed that even outstanding students with 4.0 GPAs were now reaching out to him worried because despite their impressive transcripts and experience, they weren't receiving any job offers. He concluded that this was happening because of an irreversible trend that is also part of a broader issue that's impacting almost every job seeker in every area. He further stated, "We should be doing something about it today." O'Brien also cited a Wall Street Journal article about how tech jobs are seemingly drying up. The publication found that postings for software development jobs have been down more than 30% since February 2020, according to Indeed.com. So this is a trend that I think is going to continue and only get worse. We're seeing it first with tech jobs because AI is being implemented in those fields at a higher rate and it's already oversaturated. Now with AI agents on the horizon with advanced voice and reasoning capabilities and near infinite memory, I'm not sure this trend is reversible as O'Brien mentioned, and it looks like AI is truly coming for our jobs. But Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang doesn't seem to think so.
However, all of the agents will be able to do work for 50% of your work. This is the great achievement. Instead of thinking about AI as replacing the work of 50% of the people, you should think that AI will do 50% of the work for 100% of the people. By thinking that way, you realize that AI will help boost your company's productivity, boost your productivity. People have asked me, is AI going to take your job? And I always say, because it's true, AI will not take your job. AI used by somebody else will take your job. And so be sure to activate using AI as soon as you can.
So obviously this is a guy that's at the forefront of the AI revolution and he benefits from more people using AI, but let me know in the comments, do you agree with his view here or do you think he's just saying this to ease people's minds? In other AI news, French AI company Mistral has been super busy this week. They dropped a new state-of-the-art vision model, Pixtral Large, and also revamped LeChat, adding capabilities like web search, image generation, canvas, and more. So starting with the new Pixtral model, it's a 124 billion parameter model, completely open source and free, and has a 128K context window. As you can see, it's outperforming models like GPT-4o, Gemini 1.5 Pro, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet on various benchmarks, notably the Math Vista and also the Doc VQA and VQ-AV2, which are both vision benchmarks. So for an open source model to be performing at this level is extremely impressive, and you can try it right now on LeChat for free, which is kind of insane. Speaking of LeChat, if you aren't already familiar with it, it's essentially Mistral's idea of an AI assistant, or really just an AI interface to interact with their models. They've added some major new capabilities to it, which I'll briefly touch on, starting with web search. This is nothing new really. We're seeing a lot of AI companies add this to their models, the ability to search the web through your AI model, which makes the need to use a search engine pretty much irrelevant. Then they announced Canvas. This is very similar to OpenAI's Canvas and Anthropic's Artifacts feature. It allows you to modify and edit your generations in real time in a separate window alongside your chat log. It's especially useful for coding since you can change specific lines and instantly see their effects without having to actually run the entire code. LeChat is now also able to understand and analyze images or PDFs. As we saw from the benchmarks, this is an area where it outperforms every other model. And lastly, they've partnered with Black Forest Labs to bring their image generator Flux to LeChat. So a ton of incredible features and amazing performance, and again, completely open source and free. Now, in some other news from this week, as you may already know, Elon Musk has sued OpenAI for not adhering to their non-profit structure, and because of this, a significant amount of their old emails has been made publicly available. This website compiles them all in one place. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. But I wanted to show you guys the email that started it all. On May 25th, 2015, Sam Altman writes to Elon Musk, "Been thinking a lot about whether it's possible to stop humanity from developing AI. I think the answer is almost definitely not. If it's going to happen anyway, it seems like it would be good for someone other than Google to do it first. Any thoughts on whether it would be good for YC, referring to Y Combinator, to start a Manhattan project for AI?" Which Musk responds, "Probably worth a conversation." So that email is basically what started OpenAI. Then if we go a little further, we can see the exact point at which the Elon Musk and Sam Altman beef all started. "Guys, I've had enough. This is the final straw. Either go do something on your own or continue with OpenAI as a non-profit. I will no longer fund OpenAI until you have made a firm commitment to stay, or I'm just being a fool who is essentially providing free funding for you to create a startup. Discussions are over." So based on other emails, it looks like Sam Altman was more focused on profits and revenue, which Musk clearly didn't care about. But Musk also wanted more control over the company, which Sam Altman wasn't okay with, and as a result, Musk ended up leaving. As you can see, their beef is still very much alive. Sam Altman recently called out Grok 2 on X for being woke and choosing Kamala Harris over Trump as the best presidential candidate when asked, whereas GPT-4o gives a more nuanced answer and doesn't actually prefer one over the other. So not trying to cause any division here, but are you team Musk or team Altman? Let me know in the comments. Also, speaking of Grok, xAI has recently raised up to $6 billion to purchase 100,000 Nvidia chips for its Memphis data center. These will be used to power Grok 3, which is scheduled to arrive at the end of this year. In other AI news, the New York Times posted this article titled "AI Chatbots Defeated Doctors at Diagnosing illness. What they found in the study is actually pretty insane. It states, in a study Dr. Rodman helped design, doctors who were given ChatGPT 4 along with conventional resources did only slightly better than doctors who did not have access to the bot. And to the researchers' surprise, ChatGPT alone outperformed the doctors. And further, the chatbot from the company OpenAI scored an average of 90% when diagnosing a medical condition from a case report and explaining its reasoning. Doctors randomly assigned to use the chatbot got an average score of 76%. Those randomly assigned not to use it had an average score of 74%. So there's a lot more details about this study. I'll link it in the description for those who are interested, but basically the main takeaway is that even doctors who used AI were still outperformed by AI alone. So going back to what Jensen Huang said about how AI won't take your job, but humans using AI will, well, I'm not so sure about that. There is also this new model called Evo that you may have missed. It's an AI model trained on DNA that creates genomes from scratch. Now, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the stuff they talk about in here eludes me, but essentially Brian He of Stanford University and some other researchers have designed an AI model schooled on billions of lines of genetic sequences that can deduce how bacterial and viral genomes operate and use that information to design new proteins and even whole microbial genomes. The model, known as Evo, could help scientists probe evolution, investigate diseases, develop new treatments, and potentially answer a host of other biomedical questions. So definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. It looks like they haven't actually made any breakthrough discoveries, at least not yet, but this model marks a major step forward towards AI-designed synthetic genomes. Finally, for the last story of the day, introducing Neo, the first autonomous machine learning engineer. Yes, this is an autonomous ML engineer, and it outperforms OpenAI's O1 model substantially, scoring 26% on the MLE bench. It's currently unavailable, although you can join their waitlist. I'll make sure to link it in the description, but if it performs as well as they claim it does, then this is actually pretty crazy. We now have machine learning models creating machine learning models. Anyways, that's all the AI news for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like. And as always, if you want to stay up to date on future AI news just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button.